Hi, everybody. Alberto Contreras here, marketing manager from Latino Tax Pro. We have another live show for you. We have Jake Mayer again. He was on yesterday. Hey, Jake, how's everything going this morning or
Hey, things are
afternoon?
good. Siempre es un placer de estar aquí con ustedes, and I'm happy because we have great weather outside, and I live in a small rural area where I can go for a walk and not see anyone.
Mm. Nice. Maybe one of these days you should take your phone out there and show us your outside area.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
Rocky Mountains. Yeah. Anyway,
Perfect. Yeah, before we get into it, you want to let people know what you're going to talk about while people are trickling in?
for sure. So from yesterday's discussion, there was a lot of desire to know more about the relief for the small businesses to help them weather the storm of COVID-19 and coronavirus. How, from state to state, there are different restrictions, different mandates, but a lot of places are being shut down.
Mm-hmm.
A lot of people are losing their employees. A lot of people are just trying to figure out what is tomorrow going to look like with COVID-19. And so there are some relief efforts being made by the federal government as well as by each state individually. And we're going to go over some of the big items here today.
Perfect. Yeah, I was talking to one of my friends, and he's into finance and the stock market and all that. And he was saying that 2 million people lost their jobs like last week. It went from 3% unemployment up to 9% unemployment.
And the people who are hit the hardest are the people in the middle.
Mm-hmm.
The self-employed, the people who are their own business owner. Those individuals, what do they do?
Yeah. What do they do? Can they apply for unemployment? or actually, you're gonna show them what they could do, right?
There's a number of different things. We're going to touch on some of the big items today, specifically the SBA disaster relief funding effort, the SBA loans, and what they are, what they mean, and how you can apply.
All right, perfect. For everybody watching on Facebook or YouTube or wherever, feel free to leave questions in the comments or whatever, anything. We'll get to it. Jake, you'll take the screen in a little bit, and I'll be monitoring and interrupt you if anybody has questions or comments.
Exactly, and I'll also leave my contact information in case somebody has very specific questions about their business or about their client's business. A lot of us here in the Latino Tax Pro, we're in the service business. We help other business owners, and so if something's relevant, please go ahead and reach out. We can talk about it. But anyway,
yeah,
I'm gonna share my screen, Alberto.
Yeah, take it away.
And if going through this little presentation, this educational presentation, if there's a question that you think the audience would have, feel free to interrupt me and we can go over it more specifically.
All right, will do.
Okay, can you see my screen okay?
Yep. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, so here we are. Let me just go back real fast. How do you take advantage of the $7 billion in SBA disaster relief funding? $7 billion thought to possibly become $300 billion based on future legislation and need. Each individual business could get up to $2 million in loans from the Small Business Administration to help weather the storm and get you through COVID-19. Now, don't get lost in all the words here. These are the only 2 slides that have so many words in them. But it's important for us to realize what a black swan event is and what that means for us, what that means for every one of us as business owners, as well as our clients. Let me explain it a little bit. You'll find that people have one of 3 reactions when these non-typical black swan events occur. And they're kind of like the outlier events, the things that nothing else really compares to, but they happen with some degree of frequency over the last couple decades. The first groups get scared and feel compelled to put on a brave face and try to even push the ship along and protect their interests. They overreact, they pull their money out of the market, they fill up the sandbags to protect their turf, and desperately try to do something, anything, to save the last unbroken pieces of China, so to speak. And that was from Ersat's leadership, ineffectually to save the women and children. So they make it emotional, They stop thinking logically, and they want to save the world, but they don't know how to do it. But they're going to do something, right? The second group becomes paralyzed, as if a cast member in Friday the 13th movie. They hunch down, they don't make a sound, they stay in the shadows, and the monster approaches their spot and they pray. That's not bad. Praying is good, but prayer and action together help us through the day, right? The third group almost can't be defined as a group at all. A select few stand up, but not as superheroes deflecting bullets or jumping in front of trains. They stand up and keep a steady hand, a deft touch, and provide a calming influence to those around them. These souls know that life has cycles. Good times have cycles, and unchecked, turn into bad times. Bad times have cycles that, with the right actions, turn into opportunities. So that third group is typically the smallest of all the three groups. Let's just look at that a little bit and try to help us identify who we are, which group we fall into. The first victim of a crisis is the status quo. Now, Alberto, when a crisis occurs, what does that mean that the first victim is the status quo? I think I lost you, Alberto. Anyway, so if the status quo, how things have always been, becomes the first victim, that means that things will no longer be the way that they always were. Crisis management has phases. We must retrench, reset, reposition, retool, and rebuild. And that's what we have to do now. And that's where this SBA loan comes in so critically. Retrenching. In good times, you expand and seek new opportunities. You invest, expand your reach, and do lots of R&D. In a crisis, you pull in the oars, get back to the core, reset in business, cut expenses as necessary. But don't overcut. You can never cut your way to prosperity. Reposition. That's kind of key right now. A lot of us in the service business who are our own bosses, who we are self-employed, how are we going to reposition to stay in business? And some of us might even reposition to excel and do better. Be alert throughout the crisis. There are emerging opportunities. Don't listen to the experts on TV who live in misery and hysteria. These folks fan the flames and fuel the fear. There are new opportunities, and you need to begin to reposition for them before it is evident. Be bolder than most are telling you. They are in the other groups. Retool at home, make the moves to build toward the opportunities. At work, make products or services for the rebound. How are we going to come back from this? Finally, be the one to get people out of the fallout shelters with the all clear. Be the clarion voice to rebuild. And that's a bunch of feel-good stuff to kind of help us think about how people in the past have gotten through some of these major calamities. Look at some of these past disasters just over the last 2 decades. We have SARS of 2002, the bird flu in 2008, the swine flu in 2009, MERS in 2012, Ebola 2014, Zika virus in 2016, and in 2020, the coronavirus. And here's just a little bit more. It talks about panic and hype and media and online posting. Media mentions of SARS, which was equally contagious and more deadly than coronavirus, were about 66 million. Media mentions for coronavirus, as of 4 days ago, was 2.1 billion. Interesting. Anyway, moving on. Helping us understand the situation more clearly and how we can respond to it. The BP oil spill, there was a tremendous uncertainty for business owners because of the oil spill. And there was a massive windfall of loans and even cash payments because of the settlement. And by the time COVID-19 is done, we could even be more in that type of situation than the BP oil spill was. Most people will just sit on the sidelines and let the world pass them by, so to speak. We need to do something different. How I got started in the industry, I guess you could call me a troubleshooter, an adapter, somebody who will advance and evolve. In the tax industry, I noticed that a lot of my clients were missing out because all they were paying for during the year was tax preparation. And in my mind, I kept thinking that they need to do more because tax preparation happens 4 months after the year. And if they would just make certain changes during the year, they could advance and do much better. They could advance and be more prepared. And how could I help prepare them for that? So I invested in myself. I've got 2 master's degrees. I got professional designations, have a lot of experience working for other firms. And I found that I still wasn't ready. I still didn't have what it took. So I invested $40,000 to $50,000 for additional education that was not scholastic or academic in nature. Education I had to get from outside of where I was. I did that, and in a way, I'm an outlier when it comes to the tax preparation world, because I typically don't bring on a tax client unless we do planning first. And that's revolutionized my business. Coming back to COVID-19, right now, even though we try to help all the clients with their immediate needs and wrap it into a tax plan and help them move forward with a good approach to overcome the obstacles they have in front of them. Right now, the big attention, last couple of weeks, we've been focused completely on COVID-19 and how to overcome that. The SBA loan process for disaster relief is a big and critical aspect of that process. This slide is 3 days old, and look what happened. Not just 43 states are currently covered, 50 states and territories to certain degrees. Some of them have different statuses, and some of the cities inside the states have more benefits than others. But now to date, the entire country in some aspect or another is available for disaster relief through the SBA Loan Administration. Again, this brings me back to the BP oil spill, in the fact that there was immediately a bunch of relief efforts in place. What's required? This is the crux. I had so many questions about this the other day when we had our last explanation or last viewing. The most recent federal income tax returns, they would like 3 years. You don't have to have 3 years, but they would like 3 years. They want a personal financial statement. What does that mean? So you've got your business, and for some people, that's everything. For other people, they have multiple businesses. For some people, they may have their business, their mainstay, and they have a whole bunch of real estate, or they may just have a whole bunch of debt. And so they want to know the whole financial global picture. They want a schedule of liabilities listing all fixed debts, and they want you to fill out all the paperwork. BP's total estimated settlement was $53.8 billion that they paid out. But just like the BP oil spill, we need to make sure that we submit a flawless application, as a lot of people are competing for the current $7 billion. How does this work? Again, most recent federal income tax returns, personal financial statements, schedule of liabilities listing all fixed debts. You fill out all the SBA paperwork, and it has to be absolutely correct. Otherwise, it gets sent back and delayed another 3 weeks. Year-end profit and loss statement, balance sheet for that tax year, a current year-to-date profit and loss statement, monthly sales figures for increases in the amount of economic injury. Process, day 1, strategy session. This is what I take my clients through. We try to develop, through a conversation, how to approach this in the best possible way. Within 48 hours, I have a request list to you of everything that I don't have, and I need to put this together. And I can help other tax professionals prepare this paperwork as well. We kick off a call after I've had a chance to review the entire document list, make sure it's correct, make sure we have everything needed. We put together the loan application. We'll have it all taken care of, submitted, and possibly correspondence back by the SBA loan, by the SBA administration within 2 to 3 weeks. Follow-up call at the 3-week mark. We have 2 options here. First option, go as cheap as possible and try to sell as, well, let's see here. An individual client can go as cheap as possible and try to do as much of it themselves as possible to save money in tax preparation fees and financial document fees and in everything that's necessary to submit the application. We have found in the last week or so, everybody that attempts to do it themselves, we even had, a really, really intelligent attorney that I admire come back and say, hey, this paperwork's too much. I'm too busy with work. I'm just going to pay you guys to take care of it for me. And we did. And we are very, very hopeful, not just hopeful, but I mean, he's like the perfect candidate for this. Anyway, what you're going to get by engaging with us to help you and your clients or yourself in your own business, assistance with tax preparation. This is also what you can turn around and do for your clients. There's supposed to be other slides there. Sorry. Let's see here. Well, we'll get to it here in just a second. What you're gonna get. There we go. All right, assistance with tax preparation. Completion of monthly sales figures as necessary, completion of monthly profit and loss for application, personal financial statements as needed for applications, schedule of liabilities listing all fixed debts, assistance in completion of all loan documents, and assistance in addressing responses from the SBA. Here in the near future, we perceive that they are going to be so busy that if we have all the I's dotted and T's crossed, mostly they're going to be trying to check off figures on their requirement list and possibly not even spending the time to go through all the content. Now, obviously, we want the content to be crisp and clear in everything they're asking and wanting, but they're getting a lot of pressure to push these things out if we submit them correctly. And that's our goal. What do we charge? Typically during a year for something very extensive for a mid-sized client, we would charge an annual fee of around 15 grand. But we're trying to do all the work in as short a period of time as possible, and we've restaffed. We have more people working here than ever, and we can spit these things out much faster now.
Hey Jake, we got a quick comment.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying if they could get a copy of your slides, probably if they could get a copy of what you're doing, maybe a PDF or something.
I can send them a list of links and different things like that.
Okay.
But every day I'm updating my slides because they're changing everything. Like that slide that I sent out wouldn't necessarily be compliant because it only had 43 states, and now all 50 states to some degree. So I can send out some information.
Okay.
And definitely post as many links. Some of the links are being updated daily, and that might be more helpful than my slides.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'll add your email to the comments, and people could follow up with you later on too.
For sure, for sure.
All right.
And again, some of my slides I'm just like running over because the content is old, and I made it like 3 days ago. So, and it's already outdated. But yeah, no, I'll gladly do that. You know, just to go on with different fees, I mean, this is typically what somebody would spend for annual accounting services to prepare all of this and to have it ready. The difference between now and like throughout the entire year is we're trying to do a year's worth of work in like a couple weeks, and it can be done. We can compile all this stuff, get it all ready, and present it in a way that would be more acceptable to the SBA. Again, we've got super discounted fees, and for the loan application. So this is just all the accounting work. And if we actually kind of like a fiduciary, so to speak, take on the role of the client's advocate and do the entire application for them, submit it, correspond with the SBA loan on the SBA on the client's behalf and everything else. That's kind of what we typically charge for the customary client, the typical client. Anyway, so total fees of that to help somebody possibly get upwards of $2 million in loans that do not pass through a bank, that don't have any additional fees attached to them whatsoever. And again, these are not fees attached to the loan in any way. Somebody could do all this work themselves, but you could help your clients do this, and you could get a good chunk of that money for doing this highly intensive work and getting it taken care of in the next couple of weeks. Now, what kind of loan? What are the specifics? Up to $2 million. They can be used to pay fixed debts, payroll, accounts payable, and other bills that can't be paid because of the impact of the disaster of COVID-19. Everything has to correlate with the need for this loan due to impacts of COVID-19. And that's where some of the tricky language comes into play. What are the terms? The terms, repayment for up to 30 years, more commonly based on what the money is for, working capital and the like, 7 or 15-year terms are a lot more common. Typical, and again, if you don't want it to get declined, submit it and request what they are more readily going to agree to, if that makes sense. And that's where there's an advantage with somebody who's doing, dozens and dozens of these applications every week, who kind of understands what the SBA is looking for and knows and understands what they're most likely to give. Typically, they will ask for monthly payments. There are some other payment programs available. At least a 4-month deferral on the first payment. So you get the money, and you've got 4 months before you have to make the first payment, which is kind of nice. Sometimes as long as 15 months in rare circumstances. The interest rate is 3.75 for small businesses or 2.75 for nonprofits. Now, we had an interesting question the other day. A private nonprofit or public nonprofit? And to my knowledge, from what we were able to discover, a public nonprofit is not eligible where a private nonprofit is. Interesting. And there's a lot of other technicalities. So on a case-by-case basis, things might change. How long is the process? Once we file the paperwork, about 2 to 3 weeks for loan determination. That's when they send you a determination letter saying, please send more info or you have been awarded, type of a thing. Receive your first check for up to $25,000 about 5 days later after the determination letter. Will you qualify for a loan? This is part of the initial strategy session we do with our clients from the very beginning. We don't want to go through all this work and all this effort and the weeks of following up with the SBA just to discover we weren't eligible to begin with. So in the very first phone call, 30 minutes, we discover whether or not they're eligible, if they have a good case, and if they have a good story, so to speak, when it comes to the impact of coronavirus or COVID-19 on their business. They are eligible for certain nonprofits, private nonprofits, small businesses, and agricultural cooperatives. By the way, I own a farm, and so I have a little spot in my heart for everybody in the ag business. The SBA prefers applicants with good credit history, a good credit score of 640 or above, and satisfactory performances on prior SBA loans or student loans. If you don't have that history, if you don't have all those requirements, they still will be providing this to a lot of different people.
Yeah, Jay, we got another question.
Yes.
It's saying, is the fee the same if they do not qualify?
So the fee is for tax and accounting purposes. Let me go down here. What if I don't get approved? So that was a good leader into the last part of my presentation. Again, the fee is not in regards to the SBA at all. It's not part of the government. The fee is my fee to the clients. And in the very first 30 minutes, we're going to explain to them that they are not eligible if we find them to not have a good case. And they could still move forward on their own, but we would not take on a client and charge them if we did not feel like they were eligible. Now, if for some reason we felt like they were eligible and they end up not getting the money, well, these are services they would have typically paid for anyway in the course of their year that we've helped them with today. And with the projected business losses, the extra amount of the loan application, what we end up charging them in a fee, if it's the $7,500 for everything, that $7,500 really isn't going to make the difference whether or not they stay in business or go out of business based on the effects or impacts of COVID-19. If COVID-19 truly is the source of them losing business, they should be eligible for relief and they should get the loan. And I say that because, again, we are every single week spitting out dozens of these applications, and we're very good at it. We know how to submit a successful application. Here this next week, we should start getting some of our clients some of the money. This is very exciting because now we are helping them become more efficient in their business. We're helping them cut the fat, so to speak, but not cut too deep. That's why they have the loan, so they don't have to lay people off. So they can pay people to work from home, so that they can retool and get a system and technology in place so that they can continue to offer their products and services to their customers in today's way of doing business, socially distancing from one another so that we can not spread this virus, but also still make money and still pay our employees. So with that being said, I have not had a need to provide any type of personal guarantee on my accounting services that they will get a loan because, well, we are so busy that I haven't had to. And, you know, there isn't any reason if they are truly eligible that they shouldn't get the funding. Again, right now, the perception is from some people that I've spoken to is that they are so busy. Again, they're looking on their item list. Is everything from A to Z filled out? Are all the I's dotted and all the T's crossed? Can they check the box on everything that's required and asked for? And if that's the case, they probably won't be scrutinizing the content that specifically. However, the content we want to make sure that it's as perfect as possible. And after seeing dozens and dozens and dozens of applications go in, we have a pretty good idea of what that content needs to be. And from the very first 30 minutes conversation with the client, we can help them figure it out. And we can help you help your clients figure that out. We don't need to cut anybody, we don't need to cut any other accountant out of the picture. We would much rather that we worked with other accountants and they maintained the client relationship and we did the technical work, if that made sense, and willing to share the revenue. There's enough pie to go around for everybody. And as you know, just a service or somebody who's provided some additional help and assistance to the Latino Tax Pro community, we're here not to replace you. We're here to help you be the hero for your clients.
Perfect. I think we have another quick comment. Oh, this is from our friend David Stone from IRS Solutions. We are seeing a lot of signups lately because people are afraid of losing a lot of their income.
Yeah.
Let's schedule and get people and you some money. Yeah.
Very good.
There's a huge opportunity here. A lot of you watching have business clients that probably got affected by this, and here's a way to help them out. Help them apply for this loan.
It definitely is. It's a completely different story. Now, let me just put this out there because I get this question all the time, Alberto. What if somebody wants to start a business now?
Yeah.
Well, that's just the normal SBA loan route. It's not the SBA disaster relief route. Because these are people who have an existing business who have prior tax returns in regards to their business. And that's an important distinction. Again, that first 30-minute conversation is critical to establish whether or not a client is eligible. And in 20, 30 minutes, it can be a very powerful, enlightening discussion that can help them make decisions now for the next few weeks.
Yeah, and all it takes is 30 minutes, right? 30 minutes of your time, your client's time.
And I can share my schedule here a little bit later this afternoon on the link to where David can schedule to go over some of his clients with me or anybody else. And how I usually do this, the client, somebody here in the Latino Tax Pro community, their clients, they are the trusted advisor for their clients. And if they can help with the client provide the information necessary, it speeds the process up a lot. And that's what we're looking for here is expediency, because people are losing money every day that they're being shut down or trying to retool or trying to figure out how to rebound from COVID-19 and the impacts of it.
Okay, there seems to be a lot of interest for your slides, Jake. So for everybody watching and you're interested in more information, contact us, text us, email Jake. Let us know that you want more of this so we know what to give you. There's another quick question again about the fee. What's the fee that you charge the clients? Okay, can you go over that real quick?
Yeah, let me bounce back here.
Yeah.
So this just goes off of typical accounting fees, which we charge a lot of our accounting clients that we clean up their books every single month. We go through all their transactions, we reconcile, we match everything to the assets and all of that stuff. But it's cut down into a third because we're trying to do this all super quick and make sure that everything from 2019 is taken care of, which a lot of people have done for their taxes already, but they might need it just a little bit cleaner, so to speak, for purposes of this application. And if that's needed, that's what we charge. If that's already done, Alberto, then all we do is for 2019 projections. And we also, these numbers, they're kind of unknown, but we have to justify certain predictions based on COVID-19 impacts on their business. So we have to know their industry, we have to know their sales revenue, their sales force, have they laid people off already?
It's a lot of work.
We have to, in essence, put together a set of books for 2020 that represents kind of what has happened historically, but with COVID-19 impact. And, we can do that. And we're getting really good at a lot of real estate industries, agricultural industries, manufacturing industries, and hospice. We've done several of those. So that's one of the things that we can help with, and we're going to rely also on the accountant who's referring the business. We're going to rely on them and their knowledge and expertise, and that's where we come in and we share 20% of whatever we collect from the client.
Hey Jake, hablas español, ¿verdad?
Cuando me conviene, sí, hablo bien, más o menos bien.
A lo mejor podemos hacer esto otro día en español.
Sí, claro. De hecho, iba a decirle que tal vez puedo hacer como otro aviso, otra práctica el fin de la semana como viernes o jueves, porque hay más asuntos que no vienen incluidos en estos slides.
All right, perfect for everybody watching. Because somebody commented that if we could give it to them in Spanish. Yeah, later in the week we'll do it again in Spanish.
De hecho, sí. Y también en mi equipo, aquí tengo otra gente que son más nativos y hablan español, aún mejor que yo. Pero aquí andamos echándole ganas, haciendo el apoyo para esta comunidad de Latino Tax Pro, y estamos aquí para servirles y ayudarles a ustedes también que se pueden aplicar y a sus clientes.
Awesome. Yeah. A lot of good information here, Jake. Anything you want to say before we log off?
It's really important to not just refer your client, but to hold their hand through this process.
Yes.
We can give you all the information you need, but it's so much easier if it's client specific. So it's going to be different information if they're in the ag industry, if they're a manufacturer. So work with us, we'll work with you, and let's make sure that we're all making revenue by helping these people stay in business.
Perfect. Yeah. Everybody watching, remember, you are your client's trusted advisor. They're coming to you for guidance. And that's what we're here for, to give you tools and resources to make you look good in front of your clients.
And watch the Latino Tax Pro Facebook link. I'm going to be throwing on my calendar. You can schedule 30-minute discussions to go over client specific. And please have a client available, at least in mind, or with you next to you, or we can send them a Zoom link and remotely from their home, we can discuss this together to find out if they are eligible.
All right, perfect. Thanks for your time, Jake, and thanks for the great information.
No, thank you, Alberto. And let's touch base again Thursday or Friday.
Sounds good. All right, thank you everybody for watching. All right, bye.
Bye-bye.